Alrighty, and welcome back to Twitworkz core training. Now we're going to move on to account configuration. And assuming we've been successful in saving the API tokens, we can now move on to setting up our Twitworkz preferences for the account. The configuration page for the new account should appear after you first save it. Now, if at any time you want to return to the settings for the account, just click the Settings and Config navigation item on the sidebar. If you have multiple Twitter accounts, make sure the desired account is selected in the list in the upper left-hand corner before clicking the Settings and Config item in the navbar. You can also access the settings and config for any particular account by selecting the Settings option in the drop-down menu in the Dashboard Account Listing section for that account. Now let's talk about the follow settings. Now we're in the Settings and Config section. Of course, the first tab in the settings is for your Twitter app tokens, and the second tab is called Following. Now the Follow tab is where you set the rates and limits for the auto follow you want done on the account. Why do I want to follow anyone, you might ask? Well, the reason is, and this is tested, tried, and true for years now, that if you follow people on a social network, a certain percentage of them are going to follow you back. I think it depends on how you present your own profile to some extent, which we'll get into in the Twitworkz mastery training, but also it's just part of being polite for a lot of people that if someone follows you, you follow them back. Now we're not exactly playing by those rules in Twitworkz though. On your end, we're just going to follow a bunch of people in your niche, which will then result in you getting a ton of followers back in the same niche. But don't worry, it works to get a really responsive following. You'll see. Now on this following page, as I said, where you set your limits and numbers for how many people you want to follow. The algorithm is not very extreme at either end right now, but depending on the size of the account, you can choose to follow hundreds of people per day and 12 to 15 people per hour, more or less. The Twitworkz algorithm is currently set to be pretty low key, so even if you set the numbers really high, we may not actually follow that many people just to protect you and our application from being on the wrong side of Twitter. Now, I personally set mine around 300 to 500 people per day and 8 to 15 people each go around. Now that seems to grow my account continuously and steadily with no problems. Once you've selected and input the settings you want, you can always change them later. Click the switch into the on position so it shows green to enable following, and then either click the save button or go on to the other tabs, because when you click the save button you save all the tabs at the same time in this section. So you can save now or you can save it after you've addressed every section. It really doesn't matter. Just make sure you do save it. This is the master follow switch, by the way, on this follow page. If this follow switch is not turned on and saved, or if it remains in the off position when saved, Twitworkz will not try to follow anyone for this account. It must be turned in the on position. Now, if the follow switch is not turned on, none of the following actions will occur for that particular account. For example, the keyword follow or the follower follow functions will not execute unless you have the master follow switch turned on. Now let's take a look at the different kinds of following that you can do with this application. If you want to add followers based on keywords, here's where you set that up. So let's click on the Keywords tab here. And what you're going to do is think up a list of keywords or hashtags that will bring you the kind of prospects that you want for your business or niche. You can use keywords or hashtags, and I use hashtags, as you can see. When I do the hashtags, I try to figure out generic phrases without spaces and a hashtag at the beginning. For example, like internet marketing hashtag. Save all the keywords you want, one per line. When Twitworkz runs its following algorithm, it will reach out to people who are associated with that keyword or hashtag in some way. They may have it in their screen name, they may have those hashtags on their profile, they may be tweeting with those hashtags or keywords. I found that this algorithm works really, really well. It's all about selecting the right keywords. You can see if you're on the right track with your keywords by using the reports section later and opening your follows to see what kind of people Twitworkz is following for you. You'll be able to tell pretty quickly if you've chosen the right keywords or not. Additionally, if you have your Twitter account set up to send you notifications when people follow you and message you and stuff, you will see a lot of interactions that you're getting from those people that you're following on Twitter with Twitworkz and who are following you back, of course. Now, I'm sure you'll be really, really pleasantly surprised with what you observe once you get started with this process. Because once you settle on the keywords that you want in the list, of course, you can always change them later. So click the on switch and make sure it's turned on to enable this keyword following function. And then either click the save button or, as I said before, go on to the other tabs and address those before saving. Because when you do click the save button, you do save all the tabs and all your settings in this section. So you can save now or save after you've addressed every section. It's up to you. Okay, then let's move on to the Unfollow tab. I'm going to suggest just about the same settings as I suggested for the follow section in terms of how many per day and per go around. It's up to you to fiddle with the numbers here until it's working the way you want. As you can see, I placed a warning here because there is a threshold you don't want to go over, and it's what Twitter calls aggressive unfollowing. So you don't want to do that in any case, whatever that means. So that's why we have the throttling and the numbers to select from. The same is true for following, so just bear that in mind, when you're setting things up. I really don't suggest, balls to the wall settings unless and until you really have a huge organic following, and maybe not even then. So again, once you've settled on your settings, you can save now or make other changes in any tab before saving. Just make sure you do save when you're done tweaking. I want to mention something about temporary account limitations that do occur with Twitter. I'm going to guess that even if you have a perfectly fine account, you might get this temporary block maybe once or even twice by Twitter, because I've had that happen to me myself. Now, the first time they'll just ask you to log into your account to confirm, and then your app will start working again. The second time you get blocked, they're going to ask you to confirm your phone the same way that I did in the section where I was showing you how to create the app. And then once you confirm with your phone number, they'll let you run your app again. After that, you shouldn't receive any more blockages. It should be smooth sailing from there on out. Now, I got the same thing when I ran my account, and I just went through the 2 confirmations, and now we're going like gangbusters, you can see. So if you do get blocked, don't sweat it. It's just temporary, and it's part of the Twitter game. And also remember, if there's some kind of blockage from Twitter, basically because you have your own app, it goes on your account and it's not going to affect Twitworkz. That's also why we have you create your own app for this. So whatever happens to you, it won't affect everyone else on the application. All right, so let's move on to the next tab, followers of, and this is a very, very cool feature of Twitworkz because you can target the followers of any celebrity or anyone who has a large following in your niche or business topic. What you do is you just put either their Twitter numeric user ID or their screen name, complete with the underscores if necessary, into this list here, or this text area, and Twitworkz will automatically go out and get huge lists of followers from these people and follow them on your account's behalf. And then, due to the natural laws of social media, a decent percentage of those people will follow you back and become your followers. That's just the way it works. So you can really target very finely into your niche or area of business to get connections, contacts, leads, traffic, and everything that comes with that, including opt-ins on your landing pages and even sales of your merchandise or affiliate offers. And this is very powerful because you can find people who are already successful in your niche and basically go out there and steal their following and then offer them the same kinds of offers and stuff. Along your Twitter journey, you're going to follow some people that you want to always stay connected to, whether or not they're following you. Now, for example, you might get connected to some really cool person in your niche that tweets news and interesting links and videos every day. And of course, you don't want to unfollow them. So you want to keep receiving their material in your news feed. And if so, then you should put their ID into the never unfollow section. This will ensure that Twitworkz will never randomly grab their ID and unfollow them for your account just because they never followed you, because that's what Twitworkz does. You may or may not have these people connected to the account in question, of course, depending on the Twitter account and how you're using it. So if you don't really use your Twitter account to read other people's stuff, then this is not an issue. But if you do, then you want to make sure you stay connected to certain people, and this is how you do it. You put their IDs into the never unfollow section and save it. We also have a robust error handling section here because occasionally you will have errors pop up having to do with your Twitter API, and this can happen during the initial blocks that I mentioned earlier or something else. For example, you might have initially misspelled the access token so it's not connecting correctly. Or you may get one of those temporary account blocks I mentioned, or you might have reached some kind of API limitation if you've got everything really on fleek, you know. In the error handling section, you can decide how many errors you want Twitworkz to tolerate on your behalf before it sends you an email notification of the error. You simply enter the email address to which you want the notification sent, select the number of errors to wait before contacting you, and save the settings. Now we do this because any error could be just a simple internet issue or something else, and any consistently repeating errors would definitely indicate something going wrong with your account or API calls that you should investigate and maybe fix. So we give you the option of selecting how many errors the application will receive before it actually lets you know. Because if the internet goes down or just some blockage, a temporary thing, then it's not going to pester you. But if the error keeps coming back again and again, then it's going to email you. And you can set how many times the error comes up before you get emailed. All right, well, that just about covers the settings and configuration components of setting up your Twitter accounts in Twitworkz. And once you've got your follows and your unfollows enabled, all you have to do now, notwithstanding the content tweet module, which we'll cover in a bit, is go take care of your other business and then watch your Twitter following grow. So congratulations on setting up your account. This is Hugh out, and I'll see you in the next video.